You rocking with your boy TheCzarr, all rights reserved. Thank you for coming through, rocking with me another day. I want to say first off, I did get the news that Robert Allen basically has lawyered up. This is a very unique, prevalent, and smart choice. So now we have two individuals lawyered up, with an individual claiming mental incompetency to stand trial that they found all the weapons in. Now, what's bad about this is the guy who claimed incompetency, now that they found the evidence and someone who's notable to you, he's definitely in the hot seat, without a doubt. Again, we have no proof of anyone who did this to Tentacion, let alone his deceased nature versus a lively status. But we also don't have any proof of a mastermind implicated. And it's easy to look at this situation, and I'm going to have questions later. Was this the greatest mastermind ever? Because as we're looking at evidence, there is no way that they could pick out someone else who's a fifth man. Not even through social media, not even through what they claim to have. Because this mastermind who's potentially in the situation is long gone. And it's nothing that we're here to even decide about. He has strategically beaten them at every single length, every cornerstone he's defeated. And now that they have found evidence weeks late, they are being spoon-fed the evidence. If it does not link to any of the other people, not even Dedrick D. Williams, there's a large chance they can fight it with their fists, face to face with their lawyer, and defeat it. That's the issue when you're dealing with cases and you're not working on a 48-hour basis. You miss the prevalent information, and you didn't even test for gunpowder residue. You didn't test for any of that. And even if it's on their hands, they could have been to the range in that short amount of time. You know what I mean? So it's many different things you had to fight up front. Now you're fighting from a stance of the side because you didn't really get with these guys within weeks. And we know Dedrick wasn't committing any crimes such as violent slaughters or anything slaying someone. So finding these weapons in someone's car all leads to the guy who claimed mental instability to face a case. So mentally, he's not able to stand and defend himself. And here's the scary part about it. You reach for that kind of stance, but I told you, just like in a boxing match, you know, you make certain decisions that could throw off the outcome of the match, and that's what you've done. You made a decision that now, because they found evidence, they could deny your status to not stand trial, and now you're standing trial for everything. That's the danger when you try and play from a position of, hey, I can't do this. My mind's not even set out to be a part of this. Now they think you're part of a violent crime. Even if you were to speak, you claim to be mentally unstable. So now they don't even have to take what you say into consideration. So potentially with this information, Dedrick D. Williams lawyering up is going to break the chain. Is there going to be one man that stands trial for this incident versus even the situation? Now, even though I said that Dedrick couldn't admit some things, if he asked for counsel and didn't get it, that's going to make a huge difference. If you ask for counsel and protection and these guys just kept railroading you, you could say they force you to admit to some things. And that is a very prevalent stance that you can fight out of. Now the stance and the positions of power have changed. The positions of power have changed. And now the individual who seemed like he was down on his luck and out of the situation from the get-go is now in a power position because of how the evidence was found, because of when they found the evidence, and because of the fact the other two have lawyered up. Now it's time for Dedrick to lawyer up. If Dedrick D. Williams lawyers up, we will have one man in the hot seat because of the stance he took. He spoke too soon to say, hey, I think I want to do this, and the lawyer had dropped out. Now the question is, why did he leave the evidence in a car? We know that normal criminality of someone's behavior is to dispose of the evidence. Why did he leave it in one position? Or is he going to fight back and say that wasn't true? But because you tried to take mental instability, they're going to say mentally you have some type of issue. So you didn't remember, or you were so crazy you forgot to even mention this was the case. So now it could be one guy going down while three get to walk because of how evidence was handled. This is a very important thing. This is a very effective factor because for all we know, Dedrick and them were just happened to be at the wrong place at the wrong time. You're innocent until you're proven guilty. What proof is there? What circumstantial evidence? What direct evidence? Even if they seen him go into the store to buy a mask, that doesn't mean that he was the one that had it. For all we know, from what we have, he could have handed it to someone because he walked in the store, brought the mask, and someone asked for the mask because they needed it for a X-rated tape, and he walked in to get it because they forgot their money at home. There's many different ways. That's just an analogy of something that could be seriously weighed on the situation. So we have three men that have regained power in a stance of being prosecuted where they can fight from. And this all is because of how investigators handled evidence. We see this so often, the wrong handling of evidence, and they run home with paychecks to feed their family after trying to prosecute young men who are fighting from a position of the bottom that come from nothing. When are they going to handle evidence right? Again, I researched many cases. There's so many cases I could bring up that will destroy investigators' way of handling evidence, let alone their credibility as investigators that are very questionable. This isn't the first time these guys ruined it. I have a question. Riva Motorsports ran down, tainting the scene, trying to do different things, and that was acceptable. Two random people did an interview, threw it up, slapped it up on social media, claiming this is what happened, look at him. And nothing happens to him. But you railroad these four men off the top because they're black or some type of thing, and you presume them to have done crime because they have a past. Well, if we judged everybody off our past, we'd be judging most investigators. Yes, if you didn't know, most investigators have a shaky past. One example is I remember an investigator had a badge on, and this guy had several assault cases from his teenage years, and I mean 18, 19. He was considered a man by the system. How did he become some type of investigator when he had assaults in his past? Some of them had it of women. And again, I could go back and research and dig up those cases, but what would they really matter when they get protected by the state because of their current position, even though they had a past? So how are we to judge these men if they really couldn't, by evidence, have done this crime, but at the same time, they're consistently railroading them with questions and charges saying, oh, these guys, no one else couldn't have done it. When there's so much evidence around the fact a mastermind existed and you never handled that objectively. That's the problem when people aren't objective. That is the problem. If you can't handle situations objectively, your mind isn't open to different options that can lead to the fact that it's not cut and dry as others say. This is a normal occurrence in life. This happens so much. And so many people sit in jail when they're innocent. So many people do this because of the prejudice when investigators are handling these crimes so loosely and so dumb, without any type of care for what really could have happened, just what looks good, just to solve a case, because they have so many cold cases. And we're not even going to get into the cold cases involving children in Florida. We could do that too, because I know some of the same investigators have been running these cases. Same guys. Your MO is not to solve cases. So solving this one would look good. You probably got pressure on the inside to figure out what happened because of the level of high profile it is. But look, when you handle the evidence wrong, when you rush people in without the proper evidence, when you're slow to show up to a situation, but fast to run to lunch, this is what happens. This is what happens. Now, 2 men are lawyered up as they should have from the beginning. Trayvon Newsome did. Now, all that needs to happen is Dedrick D. Williams should lawyer up. You seen they found evidence in his grandmother's car. You need to lawyer up ASAP. ASAP. It doesn't matter what's going on. You need to lawyer up. Again, we take an objective view. You need to lawyer up immediately. Immediately. I don't care what was said in that interrogation room. If you didn't have any representation, if you didn't have anybody looking out for your well-being when they were railroading those questions, you need to lawyer up, and you and your lawyer need to talk. If at any time they bribed you to say something, they interrogated you, they dropped those mastermind charges on you, you need to say that to your lawyer. And you need to take your lawyer's lead. Listen, these men are some of the hardest working men and women you'll ever meet. A lawyer, do you understand? It's not even schooling. It's not schooling. Do you understand the mentality they have to address situations with in order to gain some type of understanding for how to fight in different situations? These guys are the most versatile fighters you'll ever see. No one knows how to switch positions, how to build up understandings, how to fight from different, let's say, charges or downsides than these type of lawyers. And they deal with homicides and cases that involve prosecution that are trying to destroy character. That's what you need. And you need to look at the ratings of them. There's still hope for Dedrick now. Yes, I repeat, there's still hope for Dedrick. Because of what has happened and how evidence has developed, there is still hope for Dedrick. 3 lawyered up, 1 mentally unstable. Just how they wanted it. Chess, the pieces on your court, how are you going to rock with it? All rights reserved.